Many thanks for joining us on today's edition of Big Talk on Global Television. I remain your host, Deacon Michael. We'll be taking a look at some top national issues and concern and that has been brought to us. And of course, we will be dissecting these in the conversations that we'll be taking a look at today. Joining me for today's discussion is the public affairs analyst, Fiong Basi. Good to have you, Fiong Basi.
Good to have you, Mr. Deacon.
Yeah, quite a very disturbing state right now in Delta State. Defense headquarters yesterday released about 16 names of some of our officers, that have been a victim of the circumstances at Kwama village and Delta State. To you, is this a welcome development in the country? People that were sent, to be in a peaceful mission, suddenly have to lose their life.
Okay. First, I'd like to say it's 17. So it was,
all right, yeah.
It was spreading around the news that 16 soldiers. So when the defense headquarters released the names of the officers, we now realized that there were 17 soldiers. So 17 armed and trained officers being attacked by villagers or community men.
They are yet to really ascertain who are those behind this.
No, this brought an issue in the Senate today when the Senate president made a comment that he does not know if these villagers are Nigerians, are Niger Deltans. He doesn't know where. So we should do a proper investigation towards this. So we cannot really say, because attacking trained soldiers, we have the likes of lieutenant colonels, we have the likes of major, we have some lieutenant colonels in that troop. So having soldiers being ambushed, it shows that the attackers were well equipped. So it takes a prepared troop to ambush that level of troop. So it's not a welcome development in the country. So I try as much as possible not to comment on security issues because the security architecture of this country is very complex. So nobody can even talk about it. So we'll have issues in Delta State. The next thing, we're having kidnapping in Kaduna. We're having another kidnapping in the other side of the state. This level of insecurity is happening in the state simultaneously. So commenting on those issues are something that you cannot, we don't need to talk about more policies. We need to put these policies into practice.
Already in work. The president have responded in that and also condemned the acts carried out by these by citizens, the people that we are yet to know if they are really the Nigerians. But in all of these, do you feel that the president needs to do better? Does it have to do with the issues of leadership, or does it have to do with issues of tackling issues that maybe the soldiers probably did not go in the right way in tackling these issues?
Okay.
Because there are two communities. I don't want to go into issues. I quite understand you don't want to also discuss about the much issues entails. But to know the response so far. What can you detect from the response, either by the government or by the NDH? Okay,
now the case is the soldiers were ambushed. So, and meaning that the soldiers were going for that, for peacekeeping. They were not going to attack. They were not going for war. So they were going to see how they could keep peace in that two communities that were having disputes. So they were not going there for war. So they were not prepared. So that means the soldiers were ambushed. Because if the soldiers were prepared, they could manpower the attackers. So they were not even prepared. And now the soldiers' responses. So if you're going to tell soldiers, people that have been trained with guns, with that level of mentality, to go for investigation in that community, it's going to be very disastrous. Because first, for that level of investigation, a lot of people will die. Why? Is if you're going for that investigation, the community are not in support of you. So you need to force your way into the community. From there, you're trying to force your way in, you will have some persons coming to attack you. So if you're going to that place as Nigerian army, you're going there as Nigerian army, as an enemy in that environment. So the soldiers will also need to now face the community. So it's going to be a very complex issue to see how do we investigate that. So matter of national security are always very critical to even dissect.
All right, so how about the issues of the fact that the whole community were regs? On Sunday we saw that on the media, like as if there was a launch back attack by the military. And today at the plenary, the House of Reps has also called on the military to, lay down their hands, in reacting to the fact that some of their colleagues, have been a victim of these circumstances, in retaliating, in the bid to retaliate in that community. They have asked them to refrain from it. So, and on Sunday, it was as if the whole village was actually rest.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. If the soldiers are going back to conduct an investigation to see the attackers, who are these attackers? How can you get these attackers? Are these attacker members of the community? How are you going to identify these attackers? Now, it's going to be the soldiers versus the communities, because the communities will resist the soldiers from penetrating some angles, and the soldiers will have to force their way into that village, and it's going to be a war between the soldiers and the communities. So it's because the community will not accept them. The community will not give them, because at that point here, it is no longer the community's problem. It is the soldiers' problem to solve. So if the community had a problem and the soldiers are coming in to help, so the community people will take them round bush track to bush track. So this is the place. But now the community people are need to protect their own people, because there could be wrong identity from the soldiers coming to identify someone that might be innocent. So there might be some forced arrest that the community might want to resist. So when they want to resist this, and the community might want to even attack the soldiers, it will lead into a serious chaos in that community.
What are you advising as it stands now? What is your thoughts?
My thoughts, that's why I said I would not really want to advise Nigerian defense intelligence.
Your concern generally, because today, yesterday, the governor of the state visited the president to brief the president on the outcome of that, and so far, even the governor refused to talk to the press, to give us an in-depth understanding on what is actually happening. But the truth of the matter is that people want peace. People don't want the community. Quite frankly, we sympathize with the military, for losing some of their men. But going after the community will cause more issues. Even the Senate president said today, that the Nigerian military men have gone. So, fighting back is not the way forward, in a bid to turn down the situation.
For security issues, I always say security is local. So, first of all, if you want to tackle security issues, you need to also work with the local. It's very local. And secondly, it's the governor. Governors, a state like Delta State, that is like the richest state in the country. They have a certain number of money being allocated for security votes. So if the state governor cannot set out peace between two communities, that will have to escalate for days. The local government official, the House of Reps in that place, the senators there, the councillors in that environment, the commissioners of police in that environment will allow this level of security to
even pass the traditional council
rulers. So we'll pass the stage of village community to become a national issue. So we need to check all these things. So if we don't fill in all these gaps, that is how we're going to have this level of national crisis.
And it's quite a very sympathetic one that we do hope that peace will be restored to Okwama village in Delta State in the bid to restoring, and of course also sympathizing with our strong heroes that have laid down their life in the bid to protect the community, in the bid to protect the lives and property of the people. We'll go on a short break right now. Once we return, we'll be taking a look at an urgent national concern. Of course, it has been an issue that has been trailing over the past week. I'll be taking a look at that critically shortly after this break. Do stay with us. Many thanks for staying with us on Big Talk. We're moving away from the issues in Delta State to take a look at an allegation, the issues of Senator Ningi'S allegations and suspension. And now that the leader of the House had raised an issue that it seems that the move is like a coup against the Senate presidency of Senator Akpabio. And this has given some concern among some other Nigerians and even the senators themselves as to what was the intentions of the move by Senator Ningi'S and others who may still be having some grievances over the last National Assembly elections that elected Senator Akpabio. We're taking a look at that. Offiong Basi, we followed the events from both the allegations. We've confirmed that it was wrong. The allegations are faulty, and now the Senate actually last week suspended the senator. But this issue has been generating a lot of controversies and heat. What has been your concern?
Okay, it is quite sad that at this point, when the state, the nation is at a very critical point, everybody are trying to see how we could, the ministers, the executive senators are seeing how to fix this national crisis, that we are having this level of distraction at the National Assembly. It is quite very sad. And we're trying to see how to politicize the legislative arm of the government to play around that level of leadership. It is quite sad. It is quite sad. The Senate have not even been up to 1 year. We've had a lot of attempts to impeach the Senate president in person of Senator Akpabio, and it's quite very sad. And I don't know if it's because of it is Akpabio, or it's because it is Tinubu's led administration, or is it because it is a southern Senate president that everybody wants to play power with him. If you check the Senate president's election last year, if you see the vote margin, if you see the percentage, you know how competitive the election was. So some persons, I don't know if they are still angry about that fact, or they are trying to see how to distract the person of Senator Akpabio. So that is a very sad situation in the country.
Yeah, so would you say and agreed, because I understand that they were using the stand down, the rule, the standing rule in the House to suspend, the senator for making such an outburst. That was an attack. It wasn't just the issues that he raised, but the aftermath of that issue has been a serious attack. And as we speak, Senator Akpabio has been the front burner of Nigerians with topical issues like this have been, been heated on him. Would you say that the suspension was, the way to go to the Bauchi senator?
Okay, for the suspension of the National Assembly, I think you and I don't have a say. We are not senators. So I think suspension of a senator is going to be a consensus. We have what they say, those in support will say aye, and those against will say nay. So if those in support means the majority, so that is how the parliamentary system
because some people are saying that when the issue was brought to book, was brought to arrest, and the fact that the senator accepted that what he said wasn't what the media also misinterpreted, probably the case would have been laid to rest, and that would have been the end of the issue there.
No, the case is the senator made an allegation that the budget was padded, so that the country was running with two different budgets, a budget of 25 million and a budget of 29 trillion.
But you couldn't substantiate it.
Yes, so 3 trillion naira was padded. He said 3 trillion naira was inserted in the budget without locations. So it is an issue of national concern. So it is, we are in a country where people hate the truth. So when you go out there and make allegation, no matter how substantive the allegation may be or not, everybody who just try to play to the gallery and say, you're speaking the truth, you're speaking the truth, you're speaking the truth. So, and it's always very difficult to come back and swallow your words. So at the end, he made, the comments he made at the BBC Hausa, he said, under Senator Akpabio's government, this is happening. That was his words. Under Senator Akpabio, this is happening. It shows the attack there. So, and he brought out some motion to see how the Senate president should be impeached. It was very crystal clear at the floor of the National Assembly last week. with those level of allegation. And again, we had issue where Senator Jaribe from Cross River State North came up to say that even some senators got 500 million naira. As senior senators, the media again took it there to say, oh, Godswill Akpabio, they are sharing money in the Senate, they are doing this and they are doing that. Godswill Akpabio, Godswill Akpabio, Godswill Akpabio. If he says one thing, the level of interpretation will be different from what he's trying to say. But Senator Godswill Akpabio, as historically we know him to be a man of humor, he tried to ease down the tension of the National Assembly, and he tries to play around some certain issues, but at that, it might be misrepresented. So when you talk about the issue of 500 million naira have never been shared in the floor of the National Assembly to members. It cannot be done that way. We are not in a parliament of vultures where you throw things. When they mean 500 million, they mean 500 million for interventions. So those 500 million will be represented in the budget for projects. So as members of the National Assembly, you have this room to see how you could lobby for projects for your federal constituency, for road, for water, for lights, and the rest of that, that to be accumulatively get up to that amount of money, if it's 200 million, 300 million. So if the governors are bringing projects, the senators are also bringing projects because they are the ones that speak for us. The rep members are the ones that speak for us at the floor of the National Assembly. So when you go to agencies and see projects that will be of beneficiary to their people, they bring. So what we are supposed to be looking at now is how much is this project? Have this project been executed? That is the simple question. So we'll try to make it look like 500 million naira was being shared amongst the senators and members of House of Representatives.
It's not an easy task for one man to lead, other 108 members at the National Assembly. What have you really seen differently that Godswill Akpabio is doing as his dispensation as the Senate President? Mind you, so there are some other media attacks that he's a Robert Stamp senator because, Senate President, that this Senate has been Robert Stamp, that it seems that they are playing to the gallery of the presidency. Under Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Okay,
a lot of people will say a lot of things. And we should know historically, Senator Godswill Akpabio is a man of great records. We could see what he did as governor of Akpabio State, the transformation, the uncommon change he did in Akpabio State in the period of 8 years. We see what he did as a Senate minority leader. We saw what he did as a minister. We tried to track his records to see the project he did, and we are now seeing him as the Senate President. So it's already showing that a lot of persons might not really want him to function as Senate President. That is why they are coming with this level of attempts and this level of media attacks against his person. So Robert Stamp's senator, was he Robert Stamp as a governor? Was he Robert Stamp as a minister? Was he Robert Stamp as a Senate minority leader? These are elected positions. So he contested for primaries, he went to the polls and won these elections. So when you make it Robert Stamp, he had members that supported him. We had senators that voted for him to be a senator at that level. So I don't know how he was Robert Stamped.
All right. I needed to get that clearer so that, the confidence of Nigerians must be built. Nigerians must begin to have confidence in the arm of government, starting with the responsibilities of making laws and formulating policies, for the better of the country. Give us a deep understanding of what the allegations by Bamidele, regarding a coup targeted at Godswill Akpabio. You've also raised some concerns about Ningi'S situation. How has the Senate? What has been the architecture of the Senate? Regarding these allegations that have been raised by the Senate leader.
Oh yes, it was not an allegation raised by the Senate leader. It was a cry. Because if you check I'm a theater artist, so if you analyze the emotion of the Senate leader, you will understand he was talking from a pained point of view. he was trying to speak his mind to his fellow colleagues. He was trying to speak his mind to Nigerians, because the attempt on the Senate president, the level of distraction to the Senate president was becoming worrisome. So he needed to cry out. Is it because Godswill Akpabio is the Southern Senate president? We had Senate President David Mark. He was there for 8 years. No attempt to be impeached. We had the Senate President Ahmed Lawan. He was there for his complete 4 years. No impeachment attempt. We had Bukola Saraki. No impeachment attempt. And we are having Senator Godswill Akpabio, and we are having this level of allegation. Godswill Akpabio did, Godswill Akpabio that, Godswill Akpabio, trying to sponsor attacks, sponsored PR against his person, try to see how they could distract Nigerians from enjoying the Akpabio's effect, trying to distract Nigerians to enjoy the dividends the Godswill Akpabio we know, trying to put him on his toes. It was a cry for help that the Senate leader brought out to Nigerians and his colleagues in the National Assembly. So it was an emotional point he was trying to display to the National Assembly member.
So from the look of things, do you feel that the Senate President Godswill Akpabio is managing, the all interests of both the people that did not support him during the elections and the people, because after the elections, I think he called other senators to join him, in building a strong 10 Senate. Do you feel that he's doing well in that regard, which has not given room, which will, avoid the rooms of people to give some wrong allegations that he's not carrying everyone along?
Yes, the Senate President, I think he's performing very well in terms of the Senate decorum, because we have not seen people running with the mace as we normally used to see at the National Assembly. We've not seen people climbing the fence.
We do not look forward to all those
as we normally used to see. We've not seen some level of fight in the National Assembly. So we see some level of debates. We see some level of motions and bills being passed at the floor of the National Assembly, and there have been some successful bills that have passed through second reading, and we've had our budget that have been passed the fastest in the history of the country during his tenure. I think Nigerians are not even seeing that light.
All right. I think we'll go on a quick break right now. Once we return, we'll take a look at the issues regarding the SANU strike ongoing right now. We'll be trying to connect with the chairperson from University of Oyo. We'll be giving us an in-depth understanding of why they're embarking on this warning strike with the federal government, while we'll still keep these conversations regarding the state of the Nigerian Senate and the coup alleged against Godswill Akpabio. We'll take a look at this shortly after this break. Stay with us. Many thanks for still fact that the two unions, Sano and Nasu, are still on the second day of their warning strike, which started yesterday. And reports coming in that their hostels and electricity have been seized at the respective universities, and this has called for concern among the Nigerians. So we try to speak with Dr. Neti Atai, who is the chairperson of Unio branch, connecting us from Uyo, the capital of Akpabio. Dr. Neti, good to have you join us on the show. Okay, if you can hear me, please try to unmute your mic so they can hear me very clearly.
Okay, I can hear you now. Good evening.
All right, many thanks for connecting with us. Tell us the situation right now in Uyo on the second day of the strike, warning strike of Sano and Nasu.
Yeah, the situation here in Uyo, it's very serious, and the level of compliance, I may say, it's 100%.
Okay.
Both the Sano and Nasu have really complied with the national directive. Everywhere is locked up. No light, no water, no students in the hostel, no academic activities. Everything has been shut down in the university.
Okay, give us an update on what has how these have accommodated to all of the issues that have led to the strike, the warning strike. What was your agreement with government? What has been the issue? What has been your concern before the strike that is taken for 1 week as proposed by the national president?
Actually, we are on this strike because the federal government has actually reneged on the promises they gave to the union. You may recall that in 2022, we went on industrial action that lasted for 4 months for the non-teaching and then 7.5 months for the teaching. And at the end of that industrial action, an agreement was reached, which the federal government promised that no party shall be victimized. And what actually led to that industrial action was a government refusal to renegotiate our 2009 agreement, government refusal to release the arrears of our end allowance, and then also the implementation of the 25 and 35% salary increments. Those were the things, just but a few. Now, having went for that strike on that 2022 and we returned, when the new government led by President Bola Tinubu came on board, he gave a waiver. And that waiver was that those university staff that their salaries were withheld, that they should be paid. And when these payments actually started, we noticed that it was selective. Not every staff of the university was paid. So those that were not paid are the ones, we are the ones now asking that that money should be paid to us because it is our rights.
All right, I understand that it's quite a very painful experience right there. But has there been an attempt for negotiation with the new government? I understand that there has been a waiver by the current government. Has there been a further table-to-table negotiation between federal government delegation and SANU before the strike?
Actually, our national leadership has been trying to engage the federal government, but to no avail. They have written series of letters to the federal government, telling them about our plight, trying to seek audience to sit down with them and then discuss or chat the way forward. But all to no avail. They resisted, they refused. And we even sent them a 7-day ultimatum. That was a kind of warning, a kind of signal to them, telling them that at the expiration of these 7 days, if nothing is done, if we cannot hear anything from the government positively, that we will shut down the system for 7 working days. And having sent that signal to them, we expected them to, expedite action by calling our national leadership to a roundtable discussion on how this matter can be settled amicably. But there was no response from the government side. And then we were left with no other option than to, do the needful when the expiration of the 7 days ultimatum that we gave to the federal government actually expired. So that is why we are on this strike now.
All right. What do you feel has government responded so far? This is day two. Has there been any response from or reaction by the federal government?
Well, I may say that there is a response because from the news we heard that they will have a meeting with our leadership by tomorrow. So it is at the end of that meeting of tomorrow that we will know what they have for us.
All right. So at the end of tomorrow, if the outcome of the meeting is at the advantage of SANU and NASU members, do you feel that the warning strike will be called off?
Definitely, if it is in our own favor, we will, go back to our offices. But if it is not, we will have to go back to our toolbox and then decide on the way forward or the next step of action.
That means there are so many actions that are in place for SANU to take against this issue. But we do hope that the federal government will swiftly have to respond because it has affected the academic activities at the different universities and concerning the strike. But tell us what is your fear if the federal government does not get to do anything? What would be there like pushing you to the wall as to be your last point?
There's nothing like fear. We are not apprehensive. We are not even perturbed. If the federal government refuse to hearken to our demands, we have so many ways of tackling the matter. One is what we are just doing. So I don't have to entertain any fear. And why I'm not entertaining any fear is that I know the government of President Bola Tinubu is a listening government. He has heard our cry and he has heard what is going on in the country. And I want to believe that he's going to swift in and then do the needful as soon as possible.
All right, many thanks, Dr. Anietia, Chairperson, University of Uyo SANU, for joining us on the conversations regarding the state of the Day 2 strike by the SANU members. Many thanks for connecting with us. We do appreciate your time.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
All right. And we're going on a quick break right now. Once we return, we'll take a look at the issues of some of these coup planned by some members of the National Assembly against the Senate President. To stay with us. Avion. What it's time for still stay with us on Big Talk on Global Television. I remain your host, Dick and Michael. With the film Basi, we still with me here on the studio to discuss the issues of the Ningi'S allegations and the coup plotted against the Senate President. And now moving forward, what do you feel will be the architecture right now at the Senate, regarding some of these issues that have been put to rest by the Senate President?
Yeah, I trust the Senate President with his charismatic leadership to see how he's going to harmonize every allegations to him, how he's going to see how to bring back the Senate. I think the goal is to see how to make laws and see how to solve the basic problems of Nigerians. He will pay less attention to the distraction from paid media personnel against his person. So we'll pay less attention to that at this point. So I trust his leadership to see how he will bring the entire house together and foster a good legislative house for Nigerians.
All right. So as I said, some Nigerians have been reacting somehow negatively towards the Senate presidency. What will be your message to Nigerians in a bid to strengthen their faith, and renew their hope, in a government of renewed hope agenda of Bola Tinubu?
Yeah, at this particular time, I would like to urge Nigerians to at least trust the renewed hope agenda and also trust the leadership of Senator Akpabio. They should also try to see how they could review his antecedents, see how to check the person Senator Akpabio is, not the person the media are trying to portray him as. They should look at his person and to see what he can offer to Nigerians through the National Assembly, because at its Senate now, there are a lot of bills that are going to be, a lot of policies that are coming up that are going to be of benefit to the Federal Republic of Nigeria. We should see how we could go get hands of those bills to see how we could also make suggestions, see how we could also impact to the Senate from our own point and not play to the gallery and get ourselves being distracted by sycophants.
Also worrisome has been the management of the project. We understand that it's not senators who are single-handedly, they are not the contractors, but we understand what it means that they also recommend contractors to government. I feel, if I'm not correct, you may put me in order. But the fear of Nigerians has been that, for instance, Senator Ned Nwoko said that he received over 1 billion allocation for his constituency, not to his personal account, as the process that you've earlier mentioned. But concern has always been that from 1999 towards this time, if all the budget have been capturing constituency projects with some of this vast sum of money allocated to the dualization, some of the projects in their constituency, why are we where we are? Because if this money, if the funds are allocated by the government, for the constituency issues of constituency projects are utilized, it means that we would have been better than where we are in their respective constituency. As a person, do you feel that this Senate will do differently from other senators? Because I would not also want to try to do the push, the blame game, the blaming anyone, for where we are moving forward.
Yes, it is the people that, if you check the members of the National Assembly, you'll see they are across all parties, that this 2023 election was an election that showed a level of democracy that the people decided. We have senators from APGA, we have senators from NMPC, we have senators from PDP and the Labour Party. So if these senators have not learned from what happened in 2023 election, and they will still play to the gallery, play according to what they normally did, the old script, it's not going to be game as usual. And I also call the citizens should go to their senators and ask them what is in a constituency project envelope. How much is there? Who are the contractors? Do we start asking questions? Not when we see our senators, the time we're supposed to sit down and interrogate them and discuss with them, is that time we are going to present, ask for things for personal things, instead of asking for things that are going to have a collective, a public impact. We bring burials, we bring weddings, we bring birthdays, instead of discussing to see how we can evaluate their policies, to ask questions. This project for borehole, for medical outreach, how much is allocated? Who are the contractors? Who is going to do this? We need to hold our senators accountable. We need to hold our governors accountable. We need to hold our local government chairmen accountable. We need to hold everybody in the public space, holding public funds accountable for whatever money is being allocated for the common people. So this is Commonwealth, and everybody must pay active participation to that.
All right. I'm still on this constituency project of the issue. We find some uncompleted project being given a certificate of completion. We find that very, very common, and that has been also an issue that to be dealt with. Don't you also feel that there is need for the system, the process on how these things are being done, to be corrected, because the Nigerians are the receiving end of all what the state actors or the non-state actors are playing in the gallery. So by the moment of the fact that some of these people in the system are not doing the right thing and not doing their job, giving certificate of completion at an uncompleted project. So do you feel, how should we begin to fix this issue?
Yeah, before a certificate of completion is being issued to any contractor, we have what we call a field investigation team to send some person to the field to go and check if these projects are being...
Are they always compromised on the way?
Completed. So it is not rocket science. The president will not come down to give that. The minister will not come down. There are fellow Nigerians like us that go down there and come back and say the project has been completed. And they have to issue the certificate of completion. So they are chains and their level of compromise in that chain. So if every Nigerian love this country, we'll still have that change. So like for my senator, we have some level of project that the former senator left. He has completed quite a number of them, and the people are rejoicing. So if we have some senators that can emulate what Senator Asuku Ekpeng is even doing in Cross River State, Southern Senatorial District, I think Nigeria will move from 5% at least to 10%. So if senators we have that empathy towards their people, I think this country will be rejoicing. They're just basic things that we just need: light, water, good road, and that's very basic for Nigerians. That's very basic for our senators. That's very basic for our governors to do, and we are not even having just that.
All right. Finally, still to put these issues to rest. Do you feel that when Ningi'S returns to the Senate, it may be like a child who has passed a particular phase and now a repented soul, among other senators in the National Assembly?
So Ningi'S suspension was...
Or do you feel that the suspension might even be reviewed, because there's still conversations regarding that it might be reviewed from the 3 months? I understand that your senator had pleaded, from the 1 year suspension that they wanted to give to him, and towards the 3 months that was later reviewed and accepted by the Senate.
Yes, I think Senator Ningi'S case will be decided by his fellow senators. It's majority. That's how the legislative arm of government works. It's always majority. So one senator will not decide what happens. Senator Ningi himself cannot even decide what will happen to him. The Senate president cannot even decide what will happen to Senator Ningi. It is majority. If majority wants Senator Ningi to stay for 8 years, no. If the majority wants Senator Ningi to stay for 3 days, it's always majority. So it's what happened to Senator Ningi it shows that any senator that comes out to bring out allegations should come out with facts. So if you don't bring out allegations to incite Nigerians against the National Assembly without being going punished. So it was the act of the National Assembly and the ground rules of the National Assembly was followed, and all procedures should be debated in court, not here.
Well, thanks, Ofiong Basi, Public Affairs Analyst, for joining us on the Conversations on Big Talk on Global Television. And of course, we do hope that the peace will be sustained in the National Assembly, and for the good of Nigerians, that laws must be made and not platforms where we're finding some dramas, coming towards the issues and the sensitivity of the Nigerian people and the issues that we are already facing in the country, that we have urgent and pressing need that the National Assembly must be able to sit up you know, and deal with. These are the expectations of Nigerians, not just on the renewed hope agenda of Bola Tinubu, also from the National Assembly and the 10th National Assembly under Godswill Akpabio. And that's the size we're taking on that convention. So remember your host, Michael. Many thanks. Of course, we join this convention again tomorrow, sometime on Global TV.